This is the third-generation Porsche Cayenne SUV, the German brand's larger high-rise performance car. Porsche pompously calls the Cayenne the epitome of the sporty SUV, but people have bought into that idea since the first car was launched in 2003, to the tune of around 770,000 being sold around the world since the first generation's launch. The Cayenne has to face off against a huge range of rivals, from the mechanically similar Audi Q7 to the stylish Maserati Levante, shaft-handling BMW X5 and the Range Rover Sport. This third-generation version is longer and lower than its predecessor while the body is around 35 kilograms lighter, which should help both performance and emissions. It still looks like a Cayenne, though, which some buyers may be put off by. It's not exactly a pretty car, but Porsche has refined the design and carried across some key styling from the Panamera Sports Elecum 5-door coupe. Several punchy power variants at launch, there was a trio of Cayenne to choose from. The standard Cayenne features a 3.0-litre turbocharged V6 producing 340 horsepower. The Cayenne S employs a 440 horsepower 2.9-litre twin-turbo V6, while the hot Cayenne Turbo has a 550 horsepower 4.0-litre twin-turbo V8. The Turbo's V8 has power reserves available that could worry some sports cars and boasts a very muscular noise. The performance is addictive, but naturally will be the least friendly on your wallet. Added to the range shortly after launch is the Cayenne Hybrid, a plug-in hybrid model that uses the 3.0-litre V6 from the standard Cayenne, in combination with an electric motor. All Cayenne models are great to drive and the car has one of the best cabins in the business. All versions will tow 3.5 tons and work impressively well off-road, too. Interior design shared with Panamera. Porsche's near buttonless interior from the Panamera also features inside the Cayenne. That means a huge HD central screen dominates your attention, along with a raised center console with a chunky gear selector and a clean, touch-sensitive set of switchgear. The instrument cluster has an analog rev counter set in the middle of two digital screens that you can configure to show up everything from the navigation, through what's playing on the radio to performance statistics. The huge multimedia screen looks daunting at first to use but is quick to get to grips with. The first Cayenne was the car that changed Porsche's fortunes, accounting for a massive amount of sales and effectively rescuing it from a sad demise. This third-generation model is arguably more generic than ever, but at the same time will appeal to even more buyers, especially when the engine range is fleshed out to include some cheaper door-on options. The previous car was still among the class leaders, and this Cayenne pushes the envelope further still. Currently, there are 4 power options for the Cayenne, 3 petrols and a petrol plug-in hybrid. There's no diesel as yet, but we'd be very surprised if one didn't join the lineup at some point. Petrol Engines. Your Cayenne engine choice is small for now and each of the 3 power plants effectively doubles as a trim level. The standard Cayenne uses a 3.0-litre turbocharged V6, producing 340 horsepower and 450 Newton-meters of torque. That's good for 0-62 miles per hour time of 5.9 seconds and onto a top speed of 152 miles per hour, Porsche Cayenne base spec. If you're not after the searing speed of the far more powerful turbo-badged Cayenne, this is where our money would go. It's perfectly capable for everyday driving, so much so that it has us questioning the relevance of the S model, too. Being super picky, it isn't as loud as the other 2 engines, but its breadth of performance is such that it will fulfill daily duties without breaking a sweat. You will only notice the lack of performance when driving flat out, but realistically how many Cayenne see that sort of action? This model sits in the middle ground, the entry-level Cayenne if any model in the range can really be considered as such. And the Ballistic Turbo. It employs a slightly smaller 2.9-litre V6, but features 2 turbochargers to boost power. The S benefits from 440 horsepower and 550 Newton-meters of torque, and accelerates to 62 miles per hour in 4.9 seconds and on to 165 miles per hour. While a 100 horsepower increase looks a lot on paper, the S doesn't feel demonstrably quicker than the standard car until you're really pressing on. Its sound is slightly noisier, but it's also a little odd. Porsche seems to have engineered in some low-speed V8 type burble that doesn't sound real, yet at the top end this motor sounds strained. It's trying too hard. Previous Cayenne models haven't suffered in quite the same way. Also part of the Cayenne lineup is a plug-in hybrid. It uses the 3.0-litre V6 turbo from the standard Cayenne, with the addition of an electric motor for a combined system power output of 462 horsepower and 700 Nm of torque. This particular Cayenne is capable of surging from 0 to miles per hour in 5.0 seconds and onto a top speed of 157 miles per hour, making it the second fastest in the lineup after the turbo. Not bad for the eco-friendly version. It's properly satisfying to make use of too, and quite good fun. Being able to waft around town in silence for up to 27 miles is very refined and civilized, but the punchy petrol engine quickly wakes up when required thanks to the slick drivetrain that flicks between drive modes, e-power, hybrid auto, sport and sport plus, seamlessly. Most of the time you'll spend driving it in hybrid auto where the car decides which is best for the situation. It prioritizes driving on electric power alone, with the engine kicking in when you get a bit more enthusiastic with the accelerator pedal. Sport and Sport Plus are best left for when you're planning on having a bit more fun and don't have any passengers to throw around. In these modes, the Cayenne is almost unnecessarily fast for an eco version, with very strong performance indeed thanks to the huge torque figure, responsive gearbox and powerful, eager engine. No matter the mode, though, the performance from the hybrid is impressive, with almost instant torque available thanks to the electric motor, making it feel much more eager and responsive than you'd expect a large SUV to be. Meatiest is the turbo, although all three engines are turbocharged, offering the same 4.0-litre twin-turbo V8 also seen in the Panamera, and develops 550 horsepower and a considerable 770 Nm of torque. This is the fastest accelerating Cayenne you can currently buy, as it completes the 0 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds and on its way to reaching a top speed of 178 miles per hour. The muscular burble of the turbocharged V8 translates into huge performance when out for a spirited drive and feels very flexible. There's loads of power available here, making for incredibly simple overtaking maneuvers and lots of capability for towing, too. Tiptronic S automatic gearbox. Each Cayenne gets an 8-speed automatic gearbox called Tiptronic S. This features a shorter first gear for better acceleration and longer 8th ratio for lower cruising capability, which keeps fuel economy reasonable for a car of this size and power. It changes cogs incredibly smoothly when in default normal setting, but as you dial the drive modes up through Sport to Sport Plus, the changes get far quicker and more abrupt. Porsche Cayenne uses an 8-speed automatic gearbox. You're able to control the box using the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, and this is possible without the frustrating lack of response some other cars exhibit. Every version of the Cayenne has an unbraked towing capacity of 750 kilograms, with the facility to haul up to 3.5 tons if the trailer is its own braking, including the hybrid.